Live from the heart of Baylor Bear Country, the most comprehensive pregame coverage. This is Game Day Live, powered by Sikkim 365 and KWTX News 10.
And here we go on a Saturday afternoon. It was cold as you could possibly be. Not really. It was cold earlier, a lot of wind earlier, but it has been a beautiful afternoon. Sunshine, temperatures a little bit chilly. 6 o'clock kick, Kansas State in town to play Baylor, and what appears also all but mathematically an elimination game with TCU up 2 games. They're in Austin tonight. Baylor and Kansas State. Garrett Ross runs the mothership. This is Paul Catalina. This is Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak, and we're glad you're here. We appreciate your time on Game Day Live. So we'll hear from Chris Williams momentarily. He's at McLean Stadium a couple of different times. We'll also hear on many other fronts on what we've done throughout the week in coverage from how this game went about as far as tickets and the blackout and others who analyzed the game. We'll have that. Paul Catalina, Game Day, K-State, Baylor.
Yeah, this is 2 teams that are as evenly matched as they come. I don't know even how to break it down to where one team has a distinct advantage over the other than historically Kansas State has been really bad in Waco, and they have not won here. But you never know what's going to happen. Kansas State seems to be better at the little things than Baylor is, but Baylor's on a 4-game winning streak right now, and that to me is really the biggest stat you have to look at. Who's hotter coming in?
Yeah, I mean, these are 2 very even teams, and Baylor's on a bit of a win streak like Paul mentioned there, but there's not a lot that separates these teams at all. I mean, they're both strong running teams. They both at times can wing it around, but aren't ultimately able to do that, at will. Defensively, they're both pretty good, but I think both have, weaknesses as well that you can exploit to a certain extent. So we're in for a good one. This game matters. It is an elimination game. Like I keep saying, it is, because whoever wins this game today is still very much alive, and whoever doesn't is not. They're pretty much out of it. If you want to stay around for the Big 12 title game and find yourself back there if you're Baylor and find yourself for the first time there if you're Kansas State, you have to win this game today. You don't have a choice but to win this game today. So big one for both teams.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to come down to really, maybe who runs the ball better. Both teams run the ball very well. We know K-State with Deuce Vaughn and Adrian Martinez, and we know Baylor runs it well with the combination, the 3-headed monster. Last week, Squirrel Williams, Quaylen Jones has come on. We know Richard Reese has had a spectacular true freshman year, so that is interesting. See what happens. Maybe one team can hit the big play deep in the passing game. And then I've said this a couple of times this week, the special teams, K-State has been good at special teams. That's part of what turned them around in the 90s and always a staple of a Bill Snyder team. And Baylor has 2 punters, kickers and a punter in Rauschenberg and also Isaac Power, who can help offset that. Last week, K-State special teams was not very good. They could not get Malik Knowles loose. Texas did a great job in coverage on kick returns, so that will be interesting to watch. So, Chris Williams from KWTX here on the CW channel, Game Day Live from McLean Stadium. And Chris, thanks for your time. It seems to be right now about as good a football weather as you could imagine. Are you there?
I think you're cut.
Yeah.
Are you a little bit?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Your thoughts about
the band just started playing.
Oh,
sorry.
That's okay.
Continue. Sorry. I just interrupted you like 3 times.
That's fine. It's live, baby. It's okay with that. It seems like right now about as perfect a football weather as you could possibly imagine.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and it just feels like late season football. When it gets a little chilly, it feels like these games matter, and the fans are bundled up. I think they're ready for the cold weather tonight, and it just adds to the excitement, doesn't it?
Yeah, Chris, it is. It feels like football season starts again when it gets cold. You covered Adrian Martinez at your previous stop in Nebraska. What are the biggest changes that you have seen from him as someone who is really familiar with his previous work?
Yeah, well, first things first, Adrian Martinez is as good as an athlete as you will find under center anywhere in the country. I mean, he has speed, he has mobility, and now he's grown up a little bit. When he was in Nebraska, he had a tendency to be a little bit wild, a little bit careless, and that's been a big focus this year for him. He still does have that issue a little bit. He fumbled the ball 3 times last week. They lost one of them, obviously a crucial fumble, but he is taking care of the ball a little bit better, taking care of his body a little bit better. So it is just the maturity you hope to see out of quarterback they're seeing. And then the change of scenery has been so good for him. You know how sometimes these quarterbacks, these players at a program like Nebraska that has their struggles, they kind of get run out of town, lose some fan support. Well, now he's there. Wildcat fans love him. The excitement is there, and he can be dangerous if Baylor doesn't keep him in check, and expect Baylor to have a lot of quarterback spy tonight so he can't get loose.
Chris, a lot made about this game and just, fans showing up and the blackout that kind of was made to be unofficially, officially, like 2 days ago. So just scanning the crowd out there, what kind of sense do you get for what we can expect tonight and how much black is there out there?
There's a lot of black. There's already more black than I expected out here, and the bear walk is going on behind us right now. You can see the good thing about it is most people's winter coats are already dark or black colors. Everyone probably has black pants, so there is a lot of black here, a lot of fan support. We saw the Livingstones were out here. Dr. Livingstone and her husband were both wearing all black for this game. So I was a little bit worried about how it would be thrown together. We'll know more when it's actually in the stadium. But so far, people got word of the blackout, and it's looking great out here.
So Kansas State has struggled historically in Waco. Baylor's beaten them 4 straight times. What is your feeling, at least right now, Chris, about tonight and maybe a key or two to this game?
Well, first things first, West Virginia just beat Oklahoma for the first time after losing the last 10 meetings. So yeah. I don't think those streaks can speak to a sure win or loss. And also, I don't know about you guys, it's felt just different around this Kansas State team this year. I have a good friend, Sam Keener. He went to Kansas State. His dad went to Kansas State. They're huge fans, and they've just talked about how the energy is just different around this team. There's a lot more belief in Manhattan this year that their team can go and win that Big 12 title. So I don't know. I don't read too much into the past. I think, like you guys said at the top of the show, we got 2 evenly matched teams that are playing meaningful football right now. Both teams know that they pretty much need to win this game to keep those Big 12 title hopes alive, and I think it's going to be a slugfest out there.
Chris, I know that you'll get out and be able to watch warm-ups later, but we don't know some of the guys that have been banged up and missed some time. How good do you think the Baylor offense can be if maybe they have all their weapons available at one time?
I think matchup plays into a little bit, but they have been cooking. To see Craig Williams come back from injury, be as successful as he's been. Then you look at Richard Reese, a guy who had over 30 carries the week before. If he's back and healthy, can take a little bit less of a workload on today, then you nailed it. They have weapons all across the field. Another guy, Monterey Baldwin, who's been in and out of injury protocol. Aranda said earlier this week that it looked like he would be a full go for this game. So I do think they can be dangerous. I think they can run the full scope of the Jeff Grimes offense. And I think that's going to be key today. If they can get all of those weapons clicking at once, then this offense can really get going.
Chris, it was about 13-mile-an-hour winds earlier today, and it was 30 degrees wind chill. Well, obviously, it's warmed up. The sun is out. Is the wind any kind? Can you tell whether it's a factor, at least right now?
You can feel a breeze. You probably wouldn't want to kick a field goal headed that way away from the scoreboard just because of the wind, but it doesn't seem too serious. I would expect Baylor to run their normal pass plays. I don't think they need to tweak that side of the game too much. It's a breeze now. Of course, the winds can pick up, but no, I don't think the wind will be too much of a factor. It'll be there, but it doesn't make you change your entire game plan just for the wind.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you again, Chris, in about, an hour or so. Chris Williams from KWTX. He is live, as you could tell, in the concourse behind the south end of the end zone at McLean Stadium, as we are just a little less than 2 hours away from kickoff. Kansas State in town in Waco at McLean Stadium to play Baylor in a Big 12 elimination game. Who gets a chance to play, most likely in some case, TCU on the other side. And, of course, they have the game tonight in Austin against Texas. When we come back, we'll update.
That's the thing, though. TCU loses tonight. Baylor gets them next week.
Yep.
That's that's why this game is so important. I mean, just not only for the two teams tonight, but then what it sets up. Baylor plays TCU and Texas back-to-back. So that result either way, I mean, is going to be huge if they win this game tonight.
If they win tonight, sets them up for a chance to do what they have done once, playing back-to-back conference championships. They won them in 13 and 14, played for it in 19, played for it in 21, and won it and try to get back to it. But a lot of work to do today against Kansas State, Chris Kleiman and his team, Dave Aranda and Baylor. We'll come back and look at the scoreboard. He mentioned that Oklahoma game in Morgantown against West Virginia and torrential downpour. Alabama is struggling again. We'll get into some other top 25 teams, who got scared a little bit, who survived, who rolled, all of that and more. This is 365 Sports, the CW channel, and Game Day Live.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Hi, I'm Vic Fazell. During these trying times, you might want to just stay home. And at the law offices of Vic Fazell, we understand. That's why we're set up to handle your personal injury claim without you even having to come in. Just give us a call, and we'll take it from there. We can send any paperwork straight to your smartphone or computer. Don't delay, because if we don't put money in your pocket, you don't owe us anything. I'm Vic Fazell.
At Dr. Smiley, you're always our top priority. Dr. Lee, Dr. Lim, and the friendly staff are committed to delivering exceptional and professional care in general, family, cosmetic, and emergency dental services. Get $24.99 implant, abutment, crown, 3D CT scan, and consultation. Dr. Smiley accepts Medicaid and most dental insurance. Call Dr. Smiley today at 254-732-2606 and book your appointment today.
An accident followed by chronic pain, it can be devastating.
I was in a firefighting accident and hurt my back real bad. My surgeon didn't want to complete the surgery. That's when I turned to Advanced Pain Care, and they've really kept me going.
We recommended a spinal cord stimulator for Mr. Johnson. Once you turn on the stimulator, the patient doesn't feel the chronic pain anymore.
The stimulator, I started seeing results immediately. You wake up and you're going, where'd the pain go?
Let us help you take back your life. Call us today. Advanced Pain Care, the pain stops here.
We will hear from Jovan Overshone of Baylor Athletics Administration. There was, as you know, this week, and we had Mack Rhodes, AD, on Tuesday, and he was frustrated and a little bit annoyed that the ticket sales were lagging behind. And then all of a sudden, a fan group, students, they started this, let's do a blackout. It wasn't something Baylor came up with, but it was something that started to kind of get a little momentum, and then more and more and more. And then Baylor said, you know what? Let's back them and let's have a blackout. Of course, there was always the thought about what will the uniforms be. It will not be anything to do with blackout. Maybe one day again. But Jovan Overshone joined us on the show and discussed the momentum towards blackout and a sellout. And we're now joined by Jovan Overshone, Baylor Senior Associate AD, External Affairs. So let's get this going here. What is the official of what will the team, the uniforms, the blackout? I know there's a lot of this. They want this and that, and they've gotten the tickets. It's going to be great. It might even end up being sold out. What are the expectations of the blackout when it comes to the football team?
Look, hey, I appreciate you asking that question, one. I mean, I think this is a huge game. There's so much riding on this. I know we've all talked about, being tied for second place. And really what we looked at as we looked at, acknowledging this, fan-driven blackout, we just wanted to eliminate any excuses and create an awesome environment for this team. You said it. We got free tickets. You got it. There's a call for a fan-driven blackout. We said, okay, we're behind it, control our own destiny. We're here in that moment. And so, we hope that, it will be just kind of an organic grassroots support of the Black. We want to black out the stands, on the field. This wasn't about them for this blackout. I mean, this was truly fan-driven. And, I think most people remember we rebranded in 2019, and at that time we just doubled down on our brand colors of green and gold. And I think right now we're like many of those blue blood schools out there that are very traditional in their uniforms, and aren't really straying for that at this point in time. But, that doesn't mean we can't have fun with what we do in venue from a fan perspective.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty quick turnaround on an order, I would think, Javon, to get all that
that'd be
done.
magical.
Yeah,
let me ask you this. Is there also something to do with what you have with Nike and you don't have that color available right now?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. We're not necessarily restricted from it, but it isn't part of our package right now. Again, we're just, we're not even 5 years out from our rebrand. And at that time we said, hey, what are our colors? They're green and gold. We're going to consistently unify our brand and push those colors forward. So, a black uniform isn't something that is, in our closet and hiding right now, unfortunately.
Javon, we were talking about this on the show yesterday when it comes to kind of the modern, at least in the current view of like the economics of gas prices and inflation and being out of town. How big is an event like this for, again, a bunch of local fans to come in and come to the game? Because you've got alumni in Houston and San Antonio and places that are, 6-hour round trips from Waco that may not be making those trips anymore, so that you can grow the base here in town so that they're not the ice cream, they're the toppings, and the people in the stands are really filling up the bowl.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. It starts at home. I think, our fan base that extends beyond Waco, they started in Waco, many of them, they're alums. And, I think that's what's so special, to really have an opportunity to reach out and extend arms beyond kind of this bubble that we have here. It's just neat to go into, Waco ISD and China Spring and, different community groups and youth groups that wouldn't have the opportunity to come. Like, that's special. And I think there's just so much to celebrate about, our educators and, those that pour into, the youth and those around our community that do good. This is an opportunity to do that as well.
Do you feel like the community engagement with Baylor is good?
Yeah, I think we're making great strides. I'd say yes to that. But when I say yes, I always know there's room to do more. I think, we are just scratching the surface of really being able to get out in the way that we want to within the community. So yes, but yes, with room to grow.
Thank you very much, Jovan. Thank you very much. Jovan Overshone of Baylor Athletics. Jovan Overshone, Baylor Athletics administration, with us on 365 Sports and Game Day Live. By the way, want to say happy birthday to somebody who's kind of important, an icon in Baylor Athletics history and in Southwest Conference history as well. The late, do we have it, Grant?
It's right there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see it. I was looking at the picture. Grant Taft. Today is his birthday. He'll be at the game. He'll be at McLean Stadium. His daughter Lane put up, I guess it was late this morning, a graphic wishing him happy birthday. The former Baylor football coach who helped win the Southwest Conference Championship in 1974 and 1980. Grant Taft.
Yeah, I love that guy. Has always been great. Everybody. I can just say to me, I know he's always been great to me, and he's got great stories. He's got great insight, great wisdom, and I hope we get to see him at the game today.
All right, let's get to some scores and start with the Big 12. West Virginia at home in the slop beats Oklahoma. Oklahoma had a chance to take the lead with a late field goal. They missed it. West Virginia just methodically went down the field. And how about quarterback Garrett Green, 119 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, threw for a touchdown. He seemed to be the emotional spark for West Virginia, and they beat the Sooners, even though they're the ones that turned it over twice, 23-20.
Yeah, the one thing Garrett Green does pretty regularly well is run the football. When you have seen him, that's basically what he's done, or at least when I've seen him, that's basically what he's done. But, yeah, able to be effective doing, his strengths, and also, as you point out, not maybe what you expect is being able to toss it around a little bit as well. So good showing from him. It's got to be really weird being a West Virginia fan right now. Like, are you celebrating wins? I think this one you are because you've never beat Oklahoma in the Big 12. So that's a big deal. And, to get your first conference win over Oklahoma ever, I think is really cool for the Mountaineers to be able to now say. And having said all of that, again, I don't know, is that good for Neil Brown? I guess you suppose he's going to be around next year regardless. So, hey, great to build towards next year and build off that. But for Oklahoma, just an absolute disaster. I mean, there's no way you could have, at least I didn't check the weather reports. I didn't know what it was going to be. But even if I saw, it's going to be sloppy, I still would have picked Oklahoma. So that's no excuse. I don't know, man. I'd love to hear from Sooners fans on what they're thinking at the moment because, there was a lot of big talk earlier in the year. I was not one of those that was talking big, but this is by far worse than I ever expected it to be. I thought there'd be some lumps, but not this many lumps, and not losing to West Virginia, but here we are.
5-5, Paul, with 2 games to go. I have a crippled Oklahoma State on the horizon, and they now are in that conversation about how are they going to come up with a win to get to bowl eligible. Oklahoma, and it's been a bad year.
Yeah, and they're running the ball. Eric Gray was having a
211 yards.
Really great day, but they just couldn't do anything else, and they were just off balance all year. And I think if that's the word I'd want to use for Oklahoma all year is out of sync or off balance. Nothing was ever working right at the same times for them so far through these 10 games, and we see them at 5-5. Nothing clicked. I do think that, a big part of that is team chemistry takes a while to build. And when you have as many transfers as you do, and under the circumstances that you had them, it makes it a little more, tough to gel as, when you're trying to replace all that talent, all those people who've left, and you don't really know who can do what and all that. It made it really, really hard for them. And I just don't think they got over every little thing, speed bump in the road along the way. And there's 2 games left to make a bowl game, but man, it's just been rocky.
They had 5 consecutive years back with John Blake, 8 losses, 6 losses. 5 before that with Snellenberger the 1 year, 6 before that with Gary Gibbs. Then Stoops came in, he was 7-5. It is the third time since they won the national title that they've lost 5 games in a year. They had the year where Sam Bradford went down in 2009. That's the year Texas played for the national title and lost to Bama. In 2014, when Baylor went into Norman and beat them up, bullied them, and that was another year they finished at 8-5. They hope to be 8-5 this year because they are right now 5-5 with 2 games left and maybe not a bowl game. Also, today, Ohio State rolled past Indiana. Stroud, 297, 5 touchdowns. Tennessee, 66 on Missouri. Arkansas, LSU, 13-10. The Tigers were a little bit, they weren't quite in sync like they were last week. Give Arkansas a lot of credit for that, but we need to talk about true freshman Harold Perkins, who had 4 sacks, 3 tackles for losses, caused fumble, everything imaginable. He is a rock star for LSU.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's a bad mamma jamma and one of the best players in college football right now. And as you mentioned, almost single-handedly willing them to a victory. I know there was some thought that this was going to be a rough time going up to Fayetteville, just all the circumstances and everything and the run that they've been on. And sure enough, it turns out to be a real dogfight. So, luckily for them, they're not, walking out of there with a loss. They're still winning games and having to do it in different ways, except for Perkins is becoming a weekly constant for them, and really going to be fascinating to see how high his career goes before it ultimately ends up on Sundays here pretty soon. And, we're going to be talking about him a lot. He's amazing, and what a job by Brian Kelly this year. The opposite of Oklahoma in a first-year head coaching situation, but I know those situations were also a little bit different, so.
All right, some other scores to get to. Paul, you want to make anything about Perkins? We got to get a couple of scores
he's
in.
Micah Parsons, too.
There you go. That's a good point. Southern Cal won big last night. They struggled early, but Travis Dye looks like he's out for the year with a leg injury. He went down. It was an emotional thing last night with both teams meeting him on the field. He was carted out. Notre Dame built a big lead against Navy, then won by 3. Vanderbilt stunned Kentucky 24-21, so some other SEC team will flip and be in the top 25 instead of Kentucky at some point.
Some pollsters figuring out who they're going to put in that Kentucky spot that they've just been letting linger around here. But yeah, glad to see that reality is now starting to set in because I was not buying them as this fringe top 25 team any longer. I thought that was just propping up some other teams and good. I was glad to see that. Not anti-Kentucky by any means, but poll-wise, that was noticeable to me. So, yeah, can't prop anybody up after that one.
Ole Miss 17-14 halftime. They lead Alabama. Clemson at 10 on Louisville at halftime. Penn State 27-0. Maryland halftime. NC State by 10 over Boston College at halftime. And UCF by 10 over Tulane and New Orleans 24-14 at halftime. There's some other games, again, also going on, including number 1 Georgia at Mississippi State coming up tonight. Tanner Mordecai, 280 yards passing, 2 scores. They beat USF 41-23.
Some Big 12 scores, too. Iowa State and Oklahoma State, I think in a bit of a dogfight at the moment. I don't know the most updated score yet, but I know that Oklahoma State they had taken the lead like a half hour ago.
13-10 Cyclones.
14-10, they just kicked the extra point. Early third quarter, yep.
Iowa State scores. They don't have a lot of those in the tank, but they got down after a big bomb to John Paul Richardson, and I know a lot of Iowa State fans were like, well, because they can't score basically ever, and good to see that they did. So they've retaken the lead. But, yeah, for a Spencer Sanders-less Oklahoma State team, we should point that out. Spencer Sanders not playing. That's an interesting one.
14-10, early third quarter, Cyclones trying to win back-to-back games. When we come back, more college football, a couple other notes. A graphic on the Kansas State-Baylor series history. They haven't played quite a bit. They played 19 times. This will be 20. Plus a little bit later on, Blake Blackmar's cooking recipe and tailgate segment. And J.J. Joe, Michael Bishop. And also we'll hear from a few of you on the text line and the chat room. This is 365 Sports Game Day Live.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533, Chuck Verno at 720 North 64th Street, Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Did you know Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco is open to the public? Next time you're in town for a Baylor athletic event or you're in town for tourism, take advantage of their day passes for $10 a piece or the weekend for $30. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers 40 group exercise classes, including indoor cycling and yoga, boot camp, and bar. New free weights, weight machines, TRX rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines, and a spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alec Botch, where you will be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, kids club, 16 tennis courts, and 8 pickleball courts, and youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons available. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit wacotennis.com or visit them next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, Your Bank for Life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
Baylor men's basketball last night beating Norfolk State in a rematch of the NCAA tournament. It was a great game. It was kind of sloppy because of the wind on an aircraft carrier, but Gonzaga came back to beat Michigan State in a matchup of highly thought of and tradition-rich teams as well. Also, one other team got beaten today in the top 25 so far. Illinois lost 31-24 to Purdue. So Brett Bielema and the Illini are down today, losing by 7 at home to the Boilermakers. Now, the history of the Baylor and Kansas State rivalry. You'll see that on the right-hand side of the screen. This is the 20th meeting. Baylor leads the overall series 10-9. They've won 4 straight against the Wildcats. They've won 8 of the last 10. They are 6-4 in Waco. Last Kansas State win in Waco was 2016. Kansas State 5-4 in Manhattan. And the first time they ever met, Kansas State won back in 1969, 45-14. And I think soon after that, they might have had Lynn Dickey as the quarterback or something like that. Eventually, in a couple of years after that, they went into a long slide as a football program.
Yeah. Looking back on that, I think about Kansas State anytime before Bill Snyder. I don't think of good football. But, like you said, Lynn Dickey was there, so they had their moments, but he told you the story that when he got there, he's like, why do you guys not wear Letterman jackets? He's like, well, we don't want people to make fun of us.
Yeah, that was eye-opening.
Like, how bad do you have to be as a jock where the nerds at your school walk around going, ha, you're lame.
Yeah, you're a football player. You're nothing. He eventually started his pro career in 1971, so that's right at the time he was ending his career with Kansas State. So that's that. And then the game tonight, 20th meeting overall. Game starts just after 6 o'clock. When we come back, we're going to hear from Michael Bishop, great quarterback in Big 12 history, college football history, Heisman runner-up, and a Kansas State great on his career and Kansas State, Bill Snyder and Chris Kleiman. This is Game Day Live on 365 Sports.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
When it comes to accounting or financial services, choose a firm where it's about you. At Patillo, Brown & Hill, we empower our clients to thrive and grow with a strong professional partnership that gets to know you and your business. Our longevity is a product of our top-notch team of innovative thinkers, critical problem solvers, and dedicated partners who provide a clear and comprehensive plan for your financial achievement. Patillo, Brown & Hill, because it's more than numbers and data. It's about providing peace of mind.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
Catch up on the day's news with KWTX News 10.
Speaking of Kansas State, we're now joined by K-State, former K-State quarterback and star Michael Bishop. Also was at Blinn College in Brenham. He joins us on 365 Sports. Michael, it is great to have you on the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. 365 Sports. I'm doing great. Ready to see a good Wildcat victory if that may happen.
Well, yeah, it's been a good year. Now, obviously, the loss last week was tough to deal with. They didn't have enough early and eventually tried to come back. But what are your thoughts about who they are, the way they had to change quarterbacks because of Martinez's injury? Your thoughts about K-State this year?
Well, my thoughts about K-State this year is that, we year in and year out, teams have new players, they have old players, they have players that have been around the program who decide to finally make plays and show up. I think with K-State right now, they have all the talent. They have all the key pieces that they need in order to be successful. They played some great games. They played some not so great games. It's just a matter of what team shows up. It's a matter of what attitude shows up. It's a matter of what, demeanor, the way you carry yourself on the field, all the field issues, all that takes place before you get a lot of on Saturday nights, Saturday evenings, and Saturday mornings play football. But I definitely think that, with the core unit that they have, there's opportunities for them to be great And there's an opportunity this weekend to be great and continue to have great success.
Chris Kleiman seems like the perfect kind of successor for the program, for Bill Snyder, that he really matches the attitude of the university. Do you feel that way?
I definitely feel that, with his history and what he's been, he's been around some great players, he's been around a great coaching staff. But we all know as players that it starts at the top. When you have success that he had when he was at North Dakota and things of that nature, he brought that in with winning history, winning tradition. So, K-State in my opinion, has always been a team that's always been right at the bubble. And, a play here, a play there keeps him from having a great season. But I definitely think from me being around him and the times I've met him and hung out and talked with him, to me, he's a great guy to play for. He's a great coach. He's a player's coach. He gives you everything you need. And at the end of the day, it doesn't, to me, it matters, but the game is won between the lines. So, you can coach them up all week, but those young men, those young student athletes, they got to go out there with a mind frame that I am the best. I'm going to beat this man that's in front of me every single play. And when you don't have that clear mind frame, then you lose one or two, and then all of a sudden it's 3rd and 6, or you give up a first down. If it's 4th and forever, 3rd and forever, you give up first down from lack of concentration. But I think that he right at this point, since he's been there, he's been doing a great job. They're winning games. The fans are still showing up, so that's a major spot for them right now. The fans stop showing up, then we have a whole bunch of questions. But we're not at that point right now. We're still K-State Wildcats. We week in and week out, we put our best 11 out there and we go to war.
What was it like to have Willie Fritz and what we see him now doing at Tulane when you were at Blinn, and then, of course, the legend and the Hall of Famer and Bill Snyder as your two head coaches?
Man, I'll tell you what, Coach Fritz, I get goosebumps when I talk about him, because he was the first guy who gave me an opportunity to play ball, have fun, to relax, win games. Not only with the 2 national championships, but he gave me an opportunity to go and play football and continue my dream. But then I go and, meet the legend, Coach Bill Snyder, another guy who gave me an opportunity to come in and earn my position, earn my way on the field. I knew I had talent, but I wanted to be around great coaches, great human beings. And I had an opportunity to be around 2 of the best that ever did it in college football. That's Coach Fritz and Coach Snyder. So, a lot of things I was able to accomplish. Man, I got to give credit to those 2 guys for giving me an opportunity and giving me a space to go in and be myself and have fun.
All right, Michael, you were great at running the option and doing all the things in the offense, but I think, obviously the thing that sets you apart was you had an unbelievable cannon for a right arm. If you were standing at your peak on the goal line, no wind, normal, beautiful weather conditions, where's that ball going to land if you just chucked it?
93 yards in the air. 93 yards in the air, no wind. Absolutely. I had to prove a point when I was at K-State. So I threw it 93 yards. But I tell people all the time I had an offensive lineman come up right behind me and throw it 85. So I wasn't impressed by 93 yards.
Yeah. Man, you did, Michael. Paul's right. You had a gun and you could fling it. And I don't want to say were you ahead of your time, because there were quarterbacks at that time that were dual threat guys. But can you imagine you in the offenses with the RPOs that you see now?
Oh, man, you know what? I talk to kids all the time, and I tell them all the time that if I had an opportunity to play in today's game, I would be out of this universe. I would be laughing, having fun, smiling, high-fiving, probably in the middle of plays, in the huddle. I would be so relaxed and joking in the huddle instead of, being a serious guy that I was, just because I know now that with everything that's available for the guys who can run and throw, I mean, if you can do it consistently, you can be unstoppable. And there's a lot of guys in the league now, both college and NFL. Once they're on their game and the game is built around them, those guys are doing tremendous things. You see it week in, week out. And it's to the point now where you see it on Sundays in some organizations.
Michael, the people in the chat room love you, man. And one of the questions is your thoughts about the current Big 12. You know they've been through some upheaval, and now they survived again with Texas and Oklahoma eventually moving to the SEC, and the Big 12's added 4 new schools. What are your thoughts about the conference now, and they added 4 new in their future? Because it looks like it's just a matter of before it's not official yet, but they've added a new TV deal, and they seem to be healthy, and it looked like they might die again.
Well, I think with every great organization, every great conference, there's going to be some ups and downs in it. With the Big 12, I'm part of the Big 12, so I'm always fighting for the Big 12. I always speak highly of the Big 12 because I had the opportunity to play for the Big 12. But I definitely think that with the addition of the teams or the universities that have made their mind, I think it's a smart move to come in and join the Big 12. For me, the Big 12 is one of the toughest conferences, and to me, it still is one of the toughest conferences to this day. I definitely think the future-wise is big. You got the deal that they just signed, and there's going to be plenty of other deals that come along. Big 12 is great football. It's great. There's great student athletes. There's great universities. There's no reason in the world for, if I had students and I had to pick a university, I'm sending them to the Big 12 because I know you're going to get a great education, number one. You're going to have some great football, and you're going to have opportunity to play in front of some of the greatest fans in America. That's what it's all about.
Michael, I tell you what, I've really wanted to have you on the show now for a handful of years. I'm glad that we were able to get together. Fantastic segment. God bless you for what you're doing. Keep doing it, and thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. You guys have a great day.
Michael Bishop, former Kansas State quarterback.
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
Cooler weather's moving in, and you know what that means. Warehouse clearance sale. I'm Carol Weaver with Waco Mattress Center. Don't wait until the end of the year sales like everyone else. Ours is going on now. This isn't the cheap stuff. These are quality mattresses, scratch and dent, as well as discontinued and one-of-a-kinds. Fulls, queens, and king-size mattresses, as well as adjustable bases up to 75% off. Don't wait. These savings won't last. Going on now at Waco Mattress Center. Thank you for your business and keeping it local.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
I don't know what any of this stuff is.
Is the Jeep not starting?
Token, can you please come help?
Y'all call for a tow?
Yes.
Y'all call for a tow?
Yes.
Call Tow King 24 hours a day for all your emergency roadside needs.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Black Mar Barbecue Tailgate Series. Got something special for y'all today. I got a new pit, surprise, surprise. It's a new offset. We're still working on a name. Got a couple of front runners. To break this bad girl in, we have to cook something big and beefy. That's my brand, that's who I am. I picked beef ribs because I didn't want to make a 2-day video doing brisket. We're doing pastrami style beef ribs. Say it with me, pastrami style beef ribs. These, we're gonna make sandwiches out of them. It is going to be fantastic. I'm looking at the finished product right now and it is phenomenal. Smoky, juicy, tender. Let me just show you. Oh, hello. Oh, hello there. Oh my goodness. Pastrami smoked beef ribs. All right. Pastrami beef ribs, let's talk beef ribs. I may have trimmed all this up and then forgot to turn my mic on, so I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. This is a typical rack of beef ribs. I believe it was choice. I'm gonna go ahead and take the fat cap off. I would normally never take the fat cap off, but Typically, a pastrami brine takes 2 weeks, and I just do not want to wait that long. I did see Bradley Robinson of Chud's Barbecue had an awesome video where he did some pastrami brine beef ribs. He injected the brine into the beef ribs, and it only took him like a day and a half. So that's what I'm gonna go for. I've never made pastrami before. Because of that, I'm doing a recreation of Chud's Barbecue pastrami brine beef ribs. They turned out great for him. I wanna give this technique a shot. I feel pretty good about these. I could take these seams of fat down more, but honestly, I would just feel bad about doing it. We're starting to get into the meat. I've already taken off a good amount of that surface fat. Let's work on this brine. To start this brine off, we're gonna toast off our spices. This is mustard seed, allspice, black peppercorns, coriander seeds. We're gonna toast these off. Oops. Our spices are nice and toasted, starting to become very fragrant. Let's add some water. Calm that party down. All right, from here we're gonna go in with the rest of our ingredients. This includes salt, brown sugar, curing salt, garlic, bay leaves, and other spices. I'll put the full list in the description. Once again, I'm pretty much plagiarizing this from Chud's Barbecue, but we're gonna call it a recreation. I will say that I did not include cinnamon because cinnamon is gross, and I did not include juniper berries because those little suckers are impossible to find. But in general, these are curing and pickling spices. We've got that whisked up. We're gonna put this back on the heat. Once everything's dissolved, add a little bit of water, and then that's our brine. Into what is hopefully a big enough bowl, we're gonna pour our brine. All our spices are nice and dissolved. I'm gonna go in with some ice water to help cool it down because we are trying to get our meat in the brine tonight. Go in with a couple of whiskey ice cubes as well. Got our little injector here, got our marinade made. In the video, Chud strains his marinade so he doesn't clog up his injector. I honestly don't want to do any more dishes, so I'm gonna gamble. We're just gonna try to blow this thing up as much as possible. That pink curing salt that we put in the brine, that is what is gonna give us that pink pastrami texture. Look at the difference between this half and this half. I don't know if you can see it from that angle, but trust me, it's significant. But I'm not gonna change the camera angle so you can see. Y'all aren't paying me enough for that. This thing is blowed up. Now we must use this entire vessel. I didn't want to have to do this because now I have to flip it this side down. I'm gonna have to come and flip this in the morning and then again at night tomorrow. So it's a whole thing. So if you can find a better way to condense this or brine your ribs, go for it. Into the fridge. 1.5 days later, our pastrami injected and brined beef ribs are looking good, I think. I'm gonna wash these bad boys off. Make our rub real quick. That brine has so much salt in it. This is probably the only time ever you'll see me do a no salt dry rub. For our Lord and Savior Chud, we're going on with ground coriander and 16 mesh black pepper. We're just gonna mix this up by hand. You know, really feel the rub, the artisanship that goes into it. Give that a little stir with your fingy. Since there's no salt, we can go pretty much as heavy as we want. We will not end up over seasoning. Don't forget your sides, folks. That will bark up nicely, if I do say so myself. We're gonna let that hang out for just a minute while I get the pit ready. Oh, hello, gorgeous. This is my new barbecue pit. Coming up with a name today. Had to get this backyard model for I will refrain from name calling, but let's just say I'm not happy with the HOA. They would not let me use Brandy in the driveway anymore. So I burned her in last night. Runs great. Got some coals running in there. Big log, medium log. Marley, I still love you, but you're gonna be on the back burner for a little while. This thing is an offset smoker's best friend. All right, the pit's been coming up to temp for about 20 minutes, probably at 225. A little smoky right now, but once those logs catch a little cleaner, it'll thin up real nice. This will help give us some great introductory flavor. You don't have to burn a super clean fire right at the beginning. Our pastrami beef ribs are on the pit. While we're waiting, let's make pickles. I'm gonna start with equal parts water and vinegar. I'm following pretty basic pickling ratios, so for every cup of liquid, we're doing about a tablespoon and some change of salt. Now, in my dill pickles, I like to also give it some sugar. Black peppercorns, red pepper flake, fresh garlic. We're gonna bring this to a simmer. But today, we're just using regular English cucumbers. Just cut some coins. For our pickles, I'm gonna go in with some dill, picked fresh from the garden, and some sage, just because I have sage and I haven't used it for anything yet this year. Almost forgot the mustard seeds. We're gonna throw this into our brine real quick. Since we're making pickles, we might as well make some pickled red onions. We're gonna keep our red onions a little more versatile and not put any real aromatics. We're not gonna really add any herbs to them. We're just gonna kind of smoosh them all down in there. We're ready. We're gonna pour our hot pickling liquid just over these, fill them up to the top. Had to put this thing down because I will spill. Sorry about it. Let these come down to room temp, then put them in the fridge, and you got pickles. The ribs have been on for several hours at this point, holding 250 to 275. We've got much thinner blue smoke coming out of the smokestack. Let's have a look. Looking good. Still pretty firm, probably in the 150s to 160s. Just gonna go ahead and let this ride some more. One last thing before it's sandwich time, let's make our sandwich spread. Start with some Dijon stone ground mustard, some garlic, some prepared horseradish, mayo, mayo. One more time. Oh, I forgot the lid was off that Worcestershire sauce. Whoops. We might have to make a double batch. I like that a lot. It's ready. 7 to 8 hours later, we picked up some birds. Hot damn. These pastrami beef ribs are looking and smelling fantastic. Should be around 200 degrees internal. Oh, robes like butter. We're gonna go ahead and let these bad boys relax. Get some R&R. We've let these beef ribs rest. I think they're tender enough when the bones just kind of want to pop out. Moment of truth. Oh ho ho ho. We pastrami'd beef ribs in 1.5 days, the Chud's barbecue method. Oh yes. I am ready. It's almost a shame that I'm gonna make a sandwich out of this. Hot damn, juicing. I know we're gonna make sandwiches, and I will, but I have to take a bite of this first. You gotta appreciate this like a fine cigar. Hold on, let me collect myself. The fat is rendered beautifully. It's smoky. The pastrami flavor really comes in on the back end. I thought it was gonna be more forward than that. All right, we're making sandwiches. So I'm gonna go back to the cutting board. I'm gonna take it off the bone. I'm gonna show you that real quick. But make this. We're just gonna go ahead and take this right off the bone. I'm gonna cut some slices out of it, almost like it's brisket. Oh my goodness. That is what the doctor ordered. And if you're not going to the doctor who would order this, then you should change up. Let's build our sandwich. Toasted rye bread, down. Our horseradish sauce, down. Sauerkraut, down. Generous slices of that beef rib. Oh yes. Some fresh pickles. And because we have it, oh yeah. Shout out to my boy Gus Bus for the hookup. All right, now let's crown our king. What do you think? Should I cut it crossways? Cheers. First thing I get is that peppery, smoky bark. So that smoky, peppery bark. It's getting cut through, though, because it's kind of rich, but it's all getting cut through by the fresh pickle, the sauerkraut, the sauce we made, this nice, crusty rye bread. This is fantastic. Brine the pastrami on Thursday. Make this on Saturday. You're ready for game time. This is fantastic. Make a sandwich platter for your tailgate. You will not regret it.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Richard Carr and his team are standing by the Bears in all sports this coming season, but Richard Carr's passion for football started many years ago when he was a trainer for the football team. In addition to his alma mater, Richard Carr also loves selling quality cars and trucks to his Central Texas neighbors. Whether you want the unbeatable GMC Sierra truck loaded with luxury and strong and tough for the workday, or the performance and ride of a Cadillac or Buick SUV, Richard Carr has an amazing lineup of vehicles for you. Stop by for a test drive, contact them online, or call and say Sikkim and you're immediately a VIP at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Find them at Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit or at richardcarr.com.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears!
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, Three Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
We'll update a couple of scores for you here in a moment. Big 12 and also the schedule tonight of the Big 12. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina to my right and left. I'm David Smoak. Garrett Ross runs the mothership. We'll have Chris Williams in about 20 minutes or so from McLean Stadium. We'll also hear from former Baylor quarterback J.J. Joe on Baylor, Kansas State, and the quarterback play of Blake Shapen. UCF has scored again. They now lead 31-14 against Tulane. Plumlee is the difference there. And then also Oklahoma State, Iowa State, 14-10. They head to the fourth quarter. Iowa State, Oklahoma State has the football in Iowa State territory. Again, 14-10 Iowa State.
And Craig, Spencer Sanders has entered the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in a couple times now. He came in for a play earlier that I saw, and, apparently he's back in there. We don't have the ability to watch that right as we're talking about it. So last I was able to gather, he had come in, and I know they're in Iowa State territory, just down 4. So we'll see if he's the difference maker, but using him where they can. And, if you can get what you can out of him, that's for sure, especially in a close game like this one.
Gunnar Gundy in that game was 5 of 12 for just over 100 yards, 1 touchdown, but the long one to John Paul Richardson and the 2 interceptions in that game. Deckers has thrown 3 interceptions, and that, of course, has been a big problem for him in Iowa State so far in this game. Alabama is just crossed into Ole Miss territory, trailing 24-17. Tide tied it up at 17 apiece. They were down by 3 at halftime, and they're moving the football against Ole Miss in what should be a game. There's probably a lot more to go in that one as far as scoring as well. All right, what was the biggest story this week, in your opinion, in college football? Was there one in particular other than the college football playoff standings?
Nothing that's outside of games and I think the aftermath of Alabama and the CFP and all that, of them being on the outside looking in finally on the CFP is probably the biggest story, because I don't think there was anything particularly off the field that jumped out.
Yeah, I mean, big stories, I think it's just the games.
Yeah.
It's the games and the players involved and, some of the injuries that are occurring. I mean, maybe if you care about recruiting to where that trumps the actual on the field, then like a Jaden Rashada flipping his commitment, but that's way down the list for me.
Vosick from Oklahoma to Texas, another one, yeah.
I mean, if you're a Texas fan, sure.
Yeah.
If you're an Oklahoma fan, I think you've got even bigger problems than Vosick at this point because of what happened today on the field in Morgantown. But, I mean, that kind of stuff is on the outside, edges of interest and will be important down the line. But the games are what matter right now. And that's where my focus is.
Ohio State has had some issues at running back. Travion Henderson has the last couple of games been sidelined with an injury, and Mayan Williams was injured. His right leg had to be carted to the locker room in the first half in their blowout of Indiana. Dallin Hayden, a freshman, came in to pick up the slack, had a first-half touchdown run as the backup to Williams once he went down. We have had ADs from throughout the Big 12 and really around the country on this show to join us about many things, a lot of it post, pre, during the issues the last couple of summers in realignment. And Gene Taylor, the AD at Kansas State, we had a chance to visit with him earlier this week. We're now joined by Gene Taylor, Director of Athletics at Kansas State, who joins us. Again, we've had him on before. Gene, thank you for your time with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoak. Thanks for your time. When you see where the Big 12 is now, compared to where it was in July of 2021, how would you describe everything?
Well, it's good to be on again. It's always good to get on with you guys. There was, it was panic a year ago, and some of us, to be honest with you, well, over a year ago in July when we heard the news about Texas and Oklahoma. But right now it's a totally different feeling. It's confidence. It's a lot of people very comfortable with where we are as a conference and where we're heading. We feel like we're a conference in position of strength, and it just feels way different than it did back in July a year ago.
I asked Mac Rose this a couple weeks ago on the show, curious your perspective on it as well. But as you've negotiated a new media rights deal, as you've got a new commissioner, as things are changing, how cool is it and how important is it to the league that the two brands that are leaving, even though one of them is still in the hunt, but they're not the two brands that are the ones that are competing for the Big 12 title alone, that it is Kansas State and Baylor and TCU and others in the mix for the conference title?
No, it is. I mean, obviously last year Baylor and Oklahoma State played in the Big 12 championship, and it's obviously from a basketball perspective, we know how good this league has been without those two brands, and it just continues, and it is good, and it's good for the league, and I think that's one of the reasons that Brett was able to move forward with our TV partners, because I think they saw the strength and the interest and the balance of it. And so it's a good thing. And I think the more schools we have fighting, which I hope you don't do is beat each other up and nobody can get in the playoffs. But I think it says the strength of the conference, and I think our TV partners recognize that. No question at all.
Gene, what type of insight and what kind of experience has dealing with, being on the college football playoff committee? What's that been like?
Well, it's a tremendous honor, to be honest with you, to represent our conference. But, as we go in there, we literally take off not only our school's hat, but we take our conference hat off, and we just sit there and talk about college football and what the best teams are week to week. We really don't project forward. We just look at the results of Saturday and the Saturday that was just played, and we talk about the strengths and the weaknesses and who they played and who they didn't play, and we understand there's factors like injuries and weather, and really our goal is to make sure each week we put the top 25 that we feel are the best in the country. And the coolest thing about the committee is how many people in that room really are football knowledgeable and how much they all care about the sport of college football. And they really want to come out of there week in and week out, putting the best 25 we can based on the results of that weekend. And there's some really, really smart football people in that room that I learn from each and every week.
Thank you so much, Gene. I know you got a lot more important things than our radio show to be a part of every day, and thank you for being a part of it a couple of different times, and hope to get you again soon. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on, and you guys are awesome, and hopefully we can be on again in the future.
K-State AD Gene Taylor. On Monday, by the way, if you're interested, Jamie Pollard, the athletic director at Iowa State, will join us. In fact, Iowa State has the ball deep in their own territory as Oklahoma State had a threat but did not score, and Iowa State up still 14-10 early in the fourth quarter. Tonight, Texas is at home against TCU. Also, tonight, Texas Tech is in a game where, who knows where they are. Kansas and Texas Tech in Lubbock. That game will start the same time Baylor and K-State. Coming up next, former Baylor quarterback and also a part of Baylor Radio, J.J. Joe on this game and the quarterback play of Baylor's Blake Shapen. This is 365 Sports and Game Day Live on the CW channel.
Home Place Interiors. From designer drapes to custom total installation, quality area rugs to a wide selection of floor covering, Home Place Interiors has you covered. With over 40 years of experience, you can trust John Proctor and his knowledgeable staff to help you with your next home project. Home Place Interiors, where we do business the old-fashioned way, on a handshake.
So before I came to Dr. Thrasher, my teeth were awful. They were ugly, they were yellow, they just looked nasty. I came here and Dr. Thrasher fixed them. They're gorgeous. I love to smile in my pictures and show them off to everybody. I just love them.
Well, I feel terrific. I mean, it's what I live for in dentistry, is to be able to have an impact on somebody's life, to make their life better.
Come experience modern luxury living at Portico at Friars Creek in Temple. Enjoy our pet-friendly Tuscan and loft-style Texas-sized floor plans with desirable features like stainless steel appliances, vaulted ceilings, designer colors, expansive walk-in closets, washer and dryer connections, high-speed internet access, and so much more. You'll love our community amenities like a zero entry and our resort-style pool with an inviting outdoor cabana. Find your next home now at PorticoApartmentsTemple.com. Portico at Friars Creek in Temple, a Case & Associates property. Find Case, find home.
WTX has the most advanced technology, powered by Johnson Brothers Ford.
Former Baylor quarterback and color analyst for Baylor Radio, J.J. Joe, with us on Tuesdays, and we always appreciate his time.
JJ, what did you think of the way that Blake Shapen played on Saturday?
Blake did what was necessary. It's interesting. I felt like he had a pretty decent game going, and actually the interception, I saw what he saw. He just let it go too early. Gavin was about to, we were driving down the end of the half, I think, and it was 2nd and 9. And I kind of had to deal with the whole play calls there, but that's another thing. But he saw Gavin about to come across, and he anticipated. And Gavin, he just didn't give Gavin that time, and he had time. I don't think they had a lot of pressure on him. He had time. If he just waits probably a tick longer, Gavin is in the hole, and Gavin catches that versus it getting picked off. But overall, I think Blake did what was necessary. On the road, which, that's what you have to do sometimes. Just do what is necessary, make the basic plays, try to avoid the big mistakes, and help us get out of there with the dub, and that's what he did.
JJ, with the younger receivers starting to, at least it appears, Josh Cameron, who had clutch catches, obviously Hal Presley had the 3rd and I think it was 6 or 8 with 14-yarder in that drive. The Squirrel sealed the game. With the younger receivers stepping up, yes, there have been issues with Monterey in and out. Would you expect the passing game to get a little bit better going forward, even though the competition is getting better?
I really do. And the reason it's really twofold. One, the development. We can see it. Josh Cameron's playing well. I believe Monterey, when he gets back, he's dealing with a little hammy, as Coach called it. So, he'll get better. But, I think, with Josh stepping up and Hal Presley actually coming on, and those guys are a little inconsistent. And Gavin, he's kind of inconsistent too because he's an inexperienced player. I would expect for them, Smoak, to really kind of hold forward and be able to really help us here in these last 3 games. But I really think this receiving core, with Drake Dabney out, they need Ben to play well, and they need Monterey to be in the game. Monterey has a different level of threat to most defenses that we just don't have now. And if he's not in consistently, we start to face compression a little bit, and that's what makes things a little tough. So we need him at least healthy. He didn't have to come out and have 10 catches, but Monterey has to be in the formula for this offense to reach its potential.
JJ, Kansas State this week, very interesting challenge defensively in that you're going to have to stop the run no matter what, whether it's Adrian Martinez in there or if they switch to Will Howard for any reason during it. What do you think that they will do to try to attack that and keep, especially when Adrian Martinez is in, him in the well?
Hey, man, they have a really good scheme. They know who they are. They don't get confused. They have concepts that build off one another. So you can't just key and say, oh, this is a run set. They have a throw off that. They have a counter off that. And they're gonna single wing you, I call it. Adrian Martinez is going to run the ball. If Will Howard gets in, he is going to run the ball. So that means all 11 guys are in play. And if we are not up front prepared to bring big boy pants, they will run for a couple of bills plus on you, and they will not stop. So I believe Adrian Martinez is going to play. I think he played last week, and he can run it. He can run it. You have to force Adrian Martinez to beat you throwing the ball. I'm not saying he can't do it, but you have to force him to do it. Because if you let him run, he has proven he will beat you with his legs.
JJ, the defense, they made those plays, the interceptions you're talking about. The defensive line, though, is more now they're the ones that are in and out a little bit. The defensive backs are more engaged. Why can't they all keep pace with each other?
Yeah, Paul, man, I bet you if I had the answer to that, I think that's what Coach is looking for. He's looking for us to grow up and put it together. And I think it's part of what I think is that, when this team is led by those guys up front. I could tell, I forgot it was a couple games ago. I forget it was the last home game, probably what it was. It's been like forever. I could tell Apu was in that game. From the jump, I could tell he was in it. And if Apu is in a game, I'm going to tell you now, if your front guys are in a game, you feel like, oh, it's good now. We got them. Because there's nothing like having big guys that are gassed for a game. The challenge is it's hard to get big guys gassed for a game until they get in the game and have success. And normally the big guys come along, right? They'll like, oh man, those guys, those backers or those running backs or the quarterback making plays. Let me get in. But this team has to be led by our guys up front, and it's hard to get them going. And the problem is if they don't get going, then it's putting a lot of stress on your back end that's relatively young. And if they get it going, then it really helps everybody else. So, man, I really hope these guys look at film this week and realize, hey, it's going to be a whole
Game Day Live on News 10 is sponsored locally by TFNB, your bank for life, Advanced Pain Care, and Central Texas Plumbing Solutions.
When storms damage your roof, there's only one place to call, and it's Montgomery Construction and Roofing. MCR offers detailed bids for affordable quality roof repair and replacement. Schedule your free inspection and make sure your damage is repaired right the first time. Our claim specialist can help walk you through filing an insurance claim for wind and hail, too.
Say goodbye to damaged roofs and yes to Montgomery Construction and Roofing. We roof Texas, and we are here to serve you.
We all are experiencing how the current crisis is affecting our communication. Conducting virtual meetings or classes from the workplace or your home while maintaining security, efficiency, and effective communication throughout your organization is the new normal. Asbel Electronics can set up your business, school, or house of worship with hardware kits to enhance your virtual meeting experience and provide secure market-leading Cisco WebEx meeting or Teams for your face-to-face communication. Call Asbel Electronics at 254-824-0237.
Back inside the studio, Game Day Live on the CW channel and also powered by 365 Sports. Oklahoma State, Spencer Sanders to Jaden Nixon for 14 yards, extra point to come, 9:18 to go in the fourth quarter. The Cowboys in need of a win. Iowa State obviously hoping for more wins. 16-14 Cowboys, and Spencer Sanders comes back in, and he's led them to the lead and the extra point to come. We're now joined by Chris Williams, KWTX. He's been at McLean Stadium. He was there earlier with us and now again as we close in on kickoff about 45 minutes away. Chris, your thoughts? Does the blackout appear to be a good thing now? I mean, can you kind of tell based on the reaction of what the fans are wearing?
Yeah, I'd say it is a pretty good blackout right now. Obviously, a lot of seats still need to fill in, but I'll move out of the way. If you look at the upper level of the student section, it is pretty much all black coming through there. The green you see, those are mostly the stadium workers. So the students doing their part. And then this lower section, it'll be filled by the Baylor line. They're all in their yellow jerseys to the start. I know in the past they've taken off the yellow jerseys after that first touchdown. I don't know what the plan is there, but I did see a lot of them wearing black underneath the yellow jersey. So, yeah, it does seem like the power of social media. It looks like it is going to be a pretty good blackout crowd here for Baylor.
Any interesting sightings during warm-ups on the field?
There hasn't been a whole lot of warm-up action. It's mostly just specialists right now, so haven't seen anything crazy. Other than a lot of guys wearing short sleeves. I guess that's a little bit crazy because it has gotten considerably chillier. But no, mostly it's just long snappers, kickers, and holders right now. So nothing to report there.
Chris, do you happen to see Monterey Baldwin out there?
Again, I'm just seeing long snapper, kicker, holder. So no eyes on him yet. But I'll keep an eye out. He should be coming out soon as a returner, catching some of these kicks. So we'll keep an eye out.
Well, your thoughts on what you saw last week from Josh Cameron and Hal Presley. Do you feel like this Baylor offense can get the kind of same ammunition out of those guys? How do you feel about the passing game against Kansas State tonight?
I know us media guys have been talking about a lot how it seemed like all spring, all of fall camp, a guy everyone said to look out for was Josh Cameron. So we've been just waiting to see what they were talking about. And I think we saw a flash last week. I think he has a bright future. So, yeah, I think they can get the pass game going, but I still think the key to winning this one will be establishing the run and being able to run it down their throats like Texas did last week when they beat Kansas State.
So K-State usually is fundamentally just rock solid when it comes to defense. They had the shutout of Oklahoma State, and then last week, of course, we know what happened. Texas jumped on them early. What are your thoughts overall about the Wildcats on defense?
I know that they've had some injuries at the linebacker position. One of their key guys has been out for most of the year. Another guy battling injuries. So that's hurt in their run defense. They feel really good about their defensive backs. I feel like that group is actually playing better than they expected coming into the season, and they like the D-line. But again, that front seven, if you don't have linebackers that can stop the run, be able to, slide down the line and fill those holes on the outside zone, then you're going to be in trouble. We saw Bijan Robinson take advantage of it last week, and I think that's the spot that Baylor needs to hit. Expose those linebackers that maybe aren't the linebacking core Kansas State was hoping to have coming into the season.
I've got to ask you about the logo on your chest, the sweater or jacket you're wearing. That looks like what is that logo?
It's Spider. I grew up in Salt Lake City, so we have all the ski gear. So I have the Spider under jacket, and then in a little bit when it gets colder, I have the Spider big jacket, same logo. So every show you're going to see me, every hit, I have an extra layer on. By the end of the night, I'll be just completely covered in Spider outfit.
Thanks for being out there for us today, Chris, both times. That's Chris Williams, KWTX. He's done a great job for us today at McLean Stadium. That's a good-looking logo that he has on that jacket. Again, the sun's going to start to go down right about the time there's kickoff because the sun's going down early with the time change. Ought to be nice, great football weather. We're fortunate because we're in the press box, whether it's raining or snowing or if it's 85 or if it's 35. I'm not sure what they'll do with the windows today at the front of the press box in the first row, but we'll be there once we get off the air and head to the stadium. Paul Catalina will have post-game, remember. Who's going to join you tonight, Paul?
I'll probably be Brian.
Brian?
Brian's in Vegas, so no. It'll just be me and Jacob.
All right, Jacob Wilson and Paul Catalina, the post-game. As soon as that game goes final tonight between Baylor and also Kansas State. We'll come back and look at the scores, update the scores, give our predictions. Baylor, K-State coming up. 365 Sports, the CW channel, and Game Day Live.
Richard Carr and his team are standing by the Bears in all sports this coming season, but Richard Carr's passion for football started many years ago when he was a trainer for the football team. In addition to his alma mater, Richard Carr also loves selling quality cars and trucks to his Central Texas neighbors. Whether you want the unbeatable GMC Sierra truck loaded with luxury and strong and tough for the workday, or the performance and ride of a Cadillac or Buick SUV, Richard Carr has an amazing lineup of vehicles for you. Stop by for a test drive, contact them online, or call and say sick 'em and you're immediately a VIP at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Find them at Highway 6 at the Imperial exit or at richardcarr.com.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Did you know Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco is open to the public? Next time you're in town for a Baylor athletic event or you're in town for tourism, take advantage of their day passes for $10 a piece or the weekend for $30. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers 40 group exercise classes, including indoor cycling and yoga, boot camp and bar, new free weights, weight machines, TRX rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines, and a spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alec Botch, where you will be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, kids club, 16 tennis courts and 8 pickleball courts, and youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons available. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit wacotennis.com or visit them next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott will invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533, Chuck Verno at 720 North 64th Street, Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new 3 Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning 3 Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Game Day Live on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, TFNB, your bank for life, Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, 3 Nations Brewing Company, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Edward Jones Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Chuck Verno, Brad Wilson and Cam Heathcott, and Bubba's 33.
We're going to slowly but surely get through some of the scores that are going on right now. Oklahoma State got the ball back. Iowa State punted. 8:18 to go, fourth quarter. The only Big 12 game going on right now, 3 tonight. And Oklahoma State has 1st and 25 at their own 36-yard line. A chop block negated what was an 8-yard completion that would have continued that drive. But there's a long way to go in that game. 8:18, but Oklahoma State up 3 with 8:18 to go in the ball.
That would be an atrocious loss for Iowa State. I don't care what you tell me about what factors going on. I don't even care if they had like massive injuries. That would be an atrocious loss for Iowa State.
Deckers has thrown 3 picks in that game. Their leading rusher, Norton, has 16 carries, 47 yards. Neither team run the ball very well at all. But Oklahoma State with the ball at their 44, up now 3, 8:18 left in that game, and now a 3rd down and 6. Now, Alabama, and Ole Miss tied with 11:49 to go in the fourth quarter at 24 apiece, and Alabama's driving right now in the red zone in Ole Miss territory.
I think this would be their first lead today, right?
I think so.
I didn't catch the beginning of the game, but they were down early. So, it's almost like all those tweets I saw earlier about Bama being doomed and all that were just knee-jerk reactions on Twitter. That's what that website does. And here's Bama right in the thick of things. They were written off about an hour ago.
They were down 17-7. They scored at the end of the first half to cut the lead to 3, and it's 24 apiece. Alabama has the ball now inside the Mississippi 10.
They have never led in that game.
All right, also Nebraska getting drilled, no surprise, 31-3. Michigan has dominated that game. Corum has 162 yards and a touchdown. I said they would probably be 49-3 before it's over. There's 9 minutes, 39 seconds to go in that one. Clemson, 14-point lead against Louisville in the fourth. Penn State drilling Michigan fourth quarter, 30-0. NC State up 6. Maryland. NC State leads by 6. 10 minutes to go in that game. Boston College has the ball at their 26. UCF with what looks like will be an impressive win, but a fourth quarter to go, up 31-17 over Tulane. Tonight, Texas and TCU, Kansas against Tech, and Baylor, Kansas State. Craig, we start with you, your predictions on tonight's game.
I'm taking Baylor. Being at home, having the crowd ramped up, as I would expect they will be and should be, given all of the talk this week about the crowd. I sure hope that there's a fun atmosphere out there. It looks like there will be. I only picked this out of my closet because it was the warm stuff, not because I'm taking part in the blackout by any means, but it looks like there will be a good showing. And I think Baylor and K-State are kind of like looking in the mirror, but I like Baylor's game a little bit more. So I think Shapen has a nice night throwing the football around and gives them the edge.
Yeah, I think that Baylor wins this one. I think they stay hot. I think it's going to be tough, though. I mean, this is not a team that's going to go on. I think all their games are going to look pretty similar, and it's going to be a tough one, a slobber knocker, and Kansas State's going to make plays. Baylor's going to make plays. I just think that Baylor's a little bit hotter right now.
Both teams have a chance to run for a lot of yards in this game if somebody doesn't tackle well. Based on whatever happens. Again, I still think this one comes down to whoever can create points in the special teams, whether it's hidden yardage or a long return or a block kick or whatever it might be. Baylor really hadn't had much of that this year, but they've given up the long touchdown return to Oklahoma State in that game earlier this year.
I asked Chris this a second ago. Monterey Baldwin's out warming up.
All right, that's good news. That's another weapon for Blake Shapen, and maybe the passing game is critical tonight for Baylor. Thanks to Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. Thanks to Garrett Ross, Emery, Jack, Levi. Garrett Ross runs the mothership. Josh Darby, Chris Berry, Bass, and Andrew Hamilton. Again, the game kicks off in just over 30 minutes. Baylor and Kansas State. Post-game after that right here on 365 Sports. I'm David Smoak. Good night.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears great success this season. Sic 'em Bears.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
I see many people who've had their life turned upside down by an injury.
I crushed my hand and broke it in 8 places and had soft tissue damage. I got a spinal cord stimulator and my device stopped working and I was devastated. We had to find a new neurosurgeon through Advanced Pain Care. They took care of all of it for me. They got everything back together where I can function.
Let Advanced Pain Care help you take your life back. Call today for a same-day appointment. Advanced Pain Care, the pain stops here.
Central Texas Plumbing Solutions is the team you can count on to go the extra mile and resolve your plumbing problems quickly and thoroughly, getting it done right the first time. We want to wish the Big 12 champion Bears